cities, and we're hitting them both twice. So this is kind of our first round. So you'll get a little bit more of a networking feel here, and the next one we're going to focus in on showing you some of the announcements that we're going to have for Nokia after Nokia World in October. For now, we have Dave Boast from Microsoft who's going to talk to us a little bit about Windows Phone and Mango.
Thank you.
Oh, you're right.
Please, you don't have to stand around and watch me. Feel free to fill up your beverage.
I'm not standing.
So thank you. Thanks for coming out tonight. So my name is Dave Bost. I'm actually a senior technology manager at Microsoft based here in Chicago. It's my job and my focus and my passion, to be honest with you, to work with software developers to essentially, I want to make them rock stars on top of Windows Phone. So if you would like to be a rock star, I would love to talk to you because I want to make you a rock star. I focus more on the developer platform side, so it's all about how do you take the technology, the SDK, the tools, and build apps for Windows Phone. That's my focus. Those are the questions I can answer for you. And so what I kind of want to do tonight, we're kind of going back and forth like, you know, what should we do, what should we show off? I do have phones here that do have I don't have free phones. Talk to Nokia representatives for that. We make the software. So I do have a couple phones here that have kind of pre-builds of Mango. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about the next major release of Windows Phone codenamed Mango. It has already shipped. It's in the pipeline now to be distributed out to mobile operators. And so those will be hitting, if you already have a Windows Phone today, those should be hitting your phone sometime soon, and you'll get the updates. So what I just want to I just want to know how to approach this. I'm here to answer questions, so I'll be here all night to kind of roll around and have cocktails and you know, share some drinks with you guys. And but what I kind of threw together real quickly is kind of highlight a couple of the features of Mango that we kind of hope that will, you know, that we're looking to differentiate our mobile platform from others. And so, you know, certainly we'd love to hear some feedback, what we can make it better, what works, what doesn't work, and we can kind of go from there. Sound cool? Yep. All right, so I did have a phone that can project. Unfortunately, the software that allows it to project is a little hokey for whatever reason. It kind of flickers, and I thought that would have. It's a security build. It's a very, very specific, special build. So I think it's more of the laptop and the video part that's in here. But so what I decided to do instead is show off the emulator. Like I said, I do have phones. You guys are more than welcome to play with them and not take them home with you, please, because otherwise I'd probably get fired. I don't want that to happen. My wife doesn't either. So. But kind of show off some of these features in the emulator, and you guys are more than welcome to kind of play around with the phone and see what it feels like in real life. So first and foremost, one of the features that we have in Mango, well, it actually came out with Windows Phone to begin with. We kind of enhanced the feature functionality of Mango, something called Live Tiles. So who has touched a Windows Phone? First, a few. Okay, let's change that to everybody tonight. All right. So if you've seen who's actually seen the design of the phone in the first place, so the UI, the screen, and such. So the idea is that what we have is a series of tiles. Okay, so see if I get my real phone out of my pocket. Maybe, you know, we can glance at it so you can get an idea. But the idea that when the Microsoft design team actually kind of sort of sat with a blank whiteboard and said, what would you do? And it's actually kind of interesting. I always like to tell the story because a lot of people don't know it. Obviously, Microsoft's been in the cell phone game for quite some time. And we kind of really changed direction, you know, say a couple years ago. And it's really the first time that I am aware of that where somebody higher up, obviously way higher up than me, basically said, you know, okay, we got a platform, but it's not what consumers want. So if we were to start from scratch, what would we do? And that's exactly what they did. They started from scratch. And I don't know of any other Microsoft product. Microsoft is known for kind of, you know, sort of legacy and kind of, you know, backwards compatibility because it's very important for our customers, our pipeline, our ecosystem. But they were given an opportunity. If you were given a blank slate, what would you do? And this is what they came up with. It's, you know, essentially it's Windows Phone. And the idea is that we have these tiles that are on the screen. And I've assumed some of you, or not most of you, have seen some of the commercials where the whole idea is about that glance and go capability, right? You get to your phone, you get the information you want, you kind of get on with life. So the idea is that, you know, taking advantage of the real estate, taking advantage of these icons and these tiles on the screen to give users information. So depending on the app, so each tile represents an app or what's called a hub. And I can go into what hub means, you know, down the road here. But each tile represents an app And that app can expose data through that tile. It's a paintable surface that I can provide additional data. So a great example is weather.com, right? So the weather.com app will actually showcase, the current temperature of my sort of default city, if you will, and actually give me a graphical representation of what that weather is. Now, what we've done with Mango is actually taken that concept to be able to send down data to our users. So through a push notification service, we can actually send data down to the phone that will actually manipulate that tile and give the user some additional information. We now have this capability where it's actually not only painting the front of the tile, but also painting the back of the tile. So the tile will actually flip. It will have some sort of animation. And that's actually key, and this is what we want to get across to developers, is that what we've seen with Windows Phone for the past year is that live tile is actually a very important part of sort of your brand, right, of the app. Because when you change information, it actually, the user sort of notices, right? They see it, they say, hey, that looks different, what is that? And it actually drives them more to utilize your app even more. And so this idea of having to be able to paint on the back and provide additional information, we get this animation where it flips, and once again, catches the user's eye, invites them into your application. So those are some things that we're just trying to provide additional capabilities for people to actually utilize your apps more and more and to get more benefit out of them. So to kind of show some of the ideas of what that might look like from a semi-real world scenario is this idea of like, who travels? Does anybody travel? Nobody travels. Are you kidding me? Seriously, get another glass of wine. So an example would be like a British Airways app. Okay, so British Airways, this is a proof of concept that we worked on with them. This idea that when I'm at the airport, or you're at the airport, anybody's at the airport, what are you worried about? Oh my God, am I going to miss my flight? Right. So when is my flight? Can I get some additional information about my flight? Is it delayed? Is it boarding? How can I send down additional information to my user? So do I have time to go get a drink at the bar? Do I have time to shop for the kids? Get some last minute presents to bring home so they're not too mad at me for being gone? So what can we do? So the idea here with British Airways looks like it's a typical, travel app, right? So this idea here, it shows me kind of what my next flight is. And then from there, I can actually go in and click on my flight and get some details about my flight. And then we have this capability. When we talk from the developer platform, I don't want to get too techy because I'm not sure how many of your developers, how many of you are not. But we have this capability on the phone. You may have heard the terminology XNA. So anybody heard of Xbox? So Xbox, right, gaming platform, they created a framework, an SDK called XNA about 5 years ago to kind of make it less of a learning curve or a sort of a jump into game development on top of Xbox. So it's a very sort of it's a very familiar gaming engine framework that they've built on top of the .NET platform to get .NET developers to build games. So we use the XNA technology to actually build games on top of Windows Phone. But you also might have heard of the terminology it's called Serverless, which is the technology to build apps on the phone. Okay, so we can get into all specifics if you want to offline. I'm not going to bore you with the details. But before, there was either Serverless or there was XNA. There wasn't kind of both, right? So when, as a developer, I had to determine what kind of app am I going to create? Am I going to create a Serverless app or am I going to create an XNA app? Well, that's changed. Now it doesn't matter. You create a Windows Phone app, and you can actually essentially utilize the XNA technology. The Serverless technology is one, and this is an example. So this is all Serverless. But when I go in and I require more sort of richer and deeper graphical needs for my app, in this case I do like a seat chooser. And this is, now we switched over to XNA. So now we're using XNA, we're using 3D technology to actually kind of simulate, kind of showcase, kind of a seat picture. In this case, we're loading some seat data, and I can sort of, pan, sort of browse my seats that are available. So yellow is available, green is my current seat. Maybe I'm some sort of, I don't know, I like pain, and I want to sit in the middle seat, right? So I can choose, let's see, here we go. I can choose a middle seat, and we can actually switch them out into sort of a graphical 3D view. This is using the XA technology to kind of give us an idea of where that seat's located. Holy crap, it's way in the back of the plane, there's no lane that's it, right? So it kind of give you an idea of the expansion of the technology, how we can sort of expand the capabilities of the app even more.
Dave, that's really cool. That is really cool.
I just wish I knew how to build it. That's one thing. That's one thing I want to learn. The next thing is so if I want to go check in. Now this is really where this app shines. It's not that I have a barcode where I can go to the terminal, go sort of scan my phone and go sit in my seat. Anybody can do that. But taking advantage of those tiles on the screen to give me additional information. So in this case, I hit this little pen icon, it takes the actual app itself, it's almost bookmarks a portion of the app and puts it directly on my start screen. Now I can use that tile. And you see the flip? That's because I painted the back of it. I can use that tile to give myself additional information about the sort of data within the app. So as opposed to hitting that tile to go to the start of the app, when I hit this tile, it takes me exactly to that position in the app. And so we see different scenarios where you can really take advantage of this and really sort of provide your users more benefit and more value for your applications. So in this case, I can use that tile to give the user specific information about that one flight, not on all the flights that I have for my particular, my British Airways reservation, because let's say I have 4 or 5 flights, but that one particular flight. And this is kind of showcasing some of the design language that we have called Metro. It doesn't really work with my Samsung mouse here. But the idea that we kind of flip back and forth, I'd be happy to talk to you about our design language. This is some of the stuff, some of the work that came out of our Microsoft design team when they sort of had that blank slate. They designed a language called Metro. The idea around Metro design language is transportation centers across the world they utilize symbols and they utilize certain fonts to sort of pass on information to guests and to people who are taking their transportation systems to convey information. So they took a lot of inspirations from transportation centers across the world around symbolism and fonts and various other things. It's called Metro design language. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. But that's kind of what this look and feel is, sort of panorama controls and various other things. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Just real quick, don't want to do that. One other feature that I think is really cool is this idea of App Connect. So the idea is what we're trying to do is we're trying to see how we can help expose your applications. Okay, so once again, I'm here to make you a rock star, right? How can we create you a rock star? Getting people to download your app, right? So one of the ways that another functionality inside of Mango, what they provide is something called App Connect. App Connect is this idea that when I click the search button on my phone, right? So every single Windows phone has 3 buttons at the bottom. Only 3, there will be no more than 3, there will be no less than 3, always 3. There's a back button, a start button, and a search button. And the search button goes to Bing, okay? It's Bing search. It hooks up directly to Bing, goes down to the picture of the day, the whole thing, it's Bing, right? But the idea is that if I'm searching for specific information, Bing provides back that, my search results, which is fantastic, but what if there are some applications that can take that information even further? So the idea that I can actually type in, say, let's say as an example, this one's an easy one. If I search for a movie title, let's say I search for, I don't know, what's the latest movie I don't even know. Conan, oh God, it's horrible. Okay, so we search for Conan, right? And we want to see what the reviews are. So Bing will provide, you'll actually do a location-based search on your phone that'll bring back, the nearest theaters, movie times, that sort of thing. But it also will show you applications that are connected to movie information. So as an application, I can register and say that I provide additional information behind this type of info. So whether that's I think it's a place, product, movies, and I think there's a 4th one, I forgot what it was. But you as an application developer can register your app with the phone to say I can extend those search results with my app. And so what Bing does is that it provides the search results for Bing. User pans over and shows all the applications that are available both on your phone as well as available in the marketplace that people can download to get additional details about the search that you just did. So that's called App Connect. So I just want to kind of point that out as well. So the whole idea, once again, is to kind of help expose your applications and get people to download it. So this kind of gives you an idea what that might look like. We do a web search for a product. We kind of we pay a cost. We get some information about the search, and then we actually show applications that are apply or register themselves with that search result. And that's it. And I just want to highlight some events. And so we have, if you haven't heard, Microsoft has kind of a little conference going on in Mickey Mouse Land down in Anaheim that they're going to apparently announce something. I don't know what it is. But it's called Builds. I want to point that out. That's in 2 weeks. I also want to point out that Nokia World is coming up October 26th and 27th. And then we have some links for some additional training information. I'm the local resource for development on Windows Phone. Contact me. I'm more than happy to help you with your development efforts. Everything that you need for development information is actually a site called App Hub, which is create.msdn.com. The links are up here. Shoot me an email. I'll send it from create.msdn.com.